When everything falls apart, what do? When the world seems to have turned its back on you, when the lights go out, the doors close, and all the voices that used to cheer you on have gone silent, what do? You reach out, and there's no one there. You cry out, but no one answers. You stand in the middle of the storm, wondering why it had to be you, why everything had to fall at the same time, why your strength isn't enough. And the scariest part? It's not just the silence outside, it's the storm building inside you. That voice in your head starts whispering, maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is it. Let's stop right there. Hit pause. Freeze the chaos. Because I need you to hear this clearly. You are not done. This is not your finish line. This is your fight. You see, most people think pain is the enemy. We're taught to avoid it, bury it, numb it, keep busy, scroll, drink, pretend, put on a smile and keep moving. But pain isn't your enemy. It's your mirror. It's your wake-up call. It's the brutal honesty that no one else dares to give you. It doesn't show up to punish you. It shows up to test you, to ask, how bad do you want this life? How deep is your will to rise? You can't outrun it. You can't ignore it. The more you push it away, the louder it knocks. That's why step one, the first and most brutal step of all, is to stop running and look pain in the eye. Say it. Yes, I'm hurting. Yes, I'm lost. Yes, I'm tired. Don't dress it up. Don't sugarcoat it. Be raw. Be real. Be honest. Because that honesty, as terrifying as it feels, is the doorway to something greater. It's where the healing begins. It's where the fire is lit. Let me say this again. You are not weak because you feel. You are strong because you haven't quit. So many people confuse numbness with strength. They think shutting down, being cold, not caring, that's resilience. That's not strength. That's surrender. Strength is when you let the storm rage inside you and still you stand, you cry and still you move, you break and still you breathe. And yes, you might have hit rock bottom. Yes, you might feel like you're scraping the floor of despair. But let me tell you something that few people are brave enough to believe. Rock bottom is not your grave. It's your foundation. There's something sacred about reaching the lowest point. Because at that moment, there's nothing left to hide behind. No more illusions, no more pretending, no more masks. Just you. And that, right there, is the beginning of power. The moment when you stop asking the world to save you and decide, I will save myself. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need someone to come and validate your worth. If you're waiting for someone to pull you out of the darkness, you'll wait forever. But if you decide, right now, to plant your feet, to own your story, to carry your scars with pride, then no one, and I mean no one, can stop you. Because here's the truth. No one who ever became great had an easy journey. No legend was born without fire. Every giant has crawled through the mud. Every warrior has bled. Every champion has heard the word impossible more times than they can count, and still stood back up. You're not broken. You're building. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. Every tear, every failure, every lonely night, every slammed door. It's not the end. It's preparation. It's the universe stripping away everything you don't need so that what's left is only what's real. And what's real is you. Unshakable, unbreakable, unstoppable. So the next time your mind tries to lie to you, to tell you that you can't go on, that it's too late, that you've failed too much, fight back. Fight with everything you've got. Fight with your breath. Fight with your silence. Fight with your tears. And most importantly, fight with your decision to keep going. Not because you have the answers. Not because you feel ready. But because there's a voice deep inside you that still believes. A whisper that says, this is not the end. I will rise. And listen, it doesn't matter if you rise slowly. It doesn't matter if you crawl. It doesn't matter if all you can do today is breathe. As long as you don't give up, as long as you don't surrender, the storm will pass. The night will end. And when the sun finally rises, you won't just have survived. You'll have become someone the world can't ignore. So let the pain come, let the tears fall, let the fire burn. Don't resist it, don't fear it. Because the moment you face it without flinching, without running, without numbing, it loses its power. And in that exact moment, you take yours back. Now stand up, shake off the dust, look the chaos in the eye and say, I'm still here, and I'm not done. There comes a moment, somewhere after the silence, after the breakdown, after the storm, when you don't just fight to survive. You fight to remember, because somewhere along the way, you forgot who you were. You let the world convince you that you were weak, that you were replaceable, that you were a mistake wrapped in failure. But you weren't born for defeat. You weren't made to give in. You were built for war. You were designed for resistance. Somewhere inside you is the fire that used to burn brighter than fear, stronger than doubt, louder than anyone's opinion. That fire is still there. It never left. It was just buried, under the weight of expectations, under the noise of disappointment, under the pressure to fit in, be quiet, stay small. And now it's time. Time to dig. Time to reach deep and pull out the version of yourself that never backs down. The version that's been clawing to get out. You don't need motivation. You don't need someone to cheer you on. You need to remember who the hell you are. Think back. Think before the failure, before the heartbreak, before the fear took over. There was a version of you that believed, that dreamed, that didn't know what impossible meant. That version is still alive. And if you're honest, brutally honest, you'll see that most of your suffering isn't from what the world did to you. It's from what you started saying to yourself when the world stopped believing. You repeated the lies long enough that you started calling them truth. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I'm too far gone. Stop. Stop feeding the voice that's trying to bury you. Because the more you listen, the more you shrink. And the more you shrink, the further you get from your purpose. Let's make something crystal clear. You were not born to be average. You weren't created to play small. You weren't meant to sit on the sidelines of your own life, clapping for everyone else while your potential dies in silence. You are not here to survive. You are here to rise. And yes, life hit you hard. Yes, people left. Doors closed. Trust broke. Dreams cracked. But if you're still breathing, if your heart still beats, then your mission is not finished. This is not your final chapter. This is not your obituary. This is your comeback. But here's the catch. No one's coming to save you. There is no rescue team. There is no secret miracle waiting around the corner. There's only you, your decision, your grit, your discipline. You're the one who writes the next line. And the pen is already in your hand. Don't hand it to the pain. Don't let the fear do the writing. Don't let your past become the author of your future. You've got to get louder than the voice in your head that tells you to quit. You've got to push harder than the resistance in your body that tells you it's too much. You've got to walk straight into the fire and say, burn me if you must, but I will not bow. That's what strength looks like. Not perfection, not control, but refusal. Refusal to give up. Refusal to be defined by the lowest moments of your life. Refusal to let the darkness write your name. And when the people around you doubt you, good. Let them. When they laugh, perfect. When they walk away, let them go. Because the climb back to yourself is not a group activity. You don't need an audience. You don't need applause. All you need is that burning truth inside your soul that screams, I am not done yet. That's your compass. That's your light. Follow it like your life depends on it. Because it does. You see, the most dangerous person on earth is the one who has nothing left to lose and everything left to prove. When the world has taken it all, your pride, your comfort, your support system, and you're still standing, that's when you're at your most powerful. You've been through hell, and yet here you are. Breathing, fighting, showing up. That's power. That's unshakable. That's the kind of strength no enemy can buy, no trauma can erase, and no failure can break. So what do you do when everything's against you? You rise anyway. Not with confidence, not with guarantees, but with conviction. With that steel in your spine that says, even if I fall again, I will stand again. Even if they laugh, I will move forward. Even if it hurts, I will keep going. Because I refuse to let pain have the final word. Every great story has a chapter of suffering. Every breakthrough is built on breakdown. And every champion was once a broken soul that refused to give in. Why not you? Why not now? This is your call to remember. Not to become someone new, but to return to who you were before the world taught you to doubt it. The powerful, wild, limitless you. The one who didn't care what people thought. The one who dreamed out loud. The one who got back up every time they fell. You've spent enough time in the shadows. Enough time doubting, shrinking, hesitating. The world needs your fire now. Not the polished version, not the perfect one, the real one. The one who's scarred but standing, bruised but breathing, wounded but walking forward anyway. So no more hiding, no more waiting, no more hoping for the storm to pass. Be the damn storm. Be the one who walks back into the fight and says, you didn't break me. You revealed me. Because in the end, all the pain, all the fear, all the noise, it will pass. But the version of you that rises from it, that version will last forever. That version is the warrior, the leader, the survivor. And the world has no idea what's coming when that version walks in. You've been doubted long enough. You've been quiet long enough. Now it's time. Time to remember who you are. There's a moment, after the pain, after the remembering, after the rage has burned through your chest, where you stand at the edge of something terrifying. Action. This is where most people stop. Right here. They cry, they scream, they remember who they are, but they don't move. They get fired up, but not forward. And that's the greatest trap of all, inspiration without execution, fire without direction. You want the storm to pass. You want the strength to come. You want life to change. But are you willing to take the hit and still move forward? Are you willing to act before you're ready? To step before you see the path? To speak before you feel strong? Because listen to me. You do not need clarity to begin. You need movement. You need motion. You need to fight. Fight forward. Fight messy. Fight broken. Fight scared. But for the love of everything inside you, don't stand still. Pain is loud. But do you know what's louder? Momentum. When your feet start moving, when your lungs start burning, when your blood starts rushing, doubt has no time to speak. It falls behind. It gets drowned out by action. You don't need a 10-step plan. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You don't need to have all the answers lined up. You need to get up now and push. Throw a punch. Take a step. Make the call. Say the truth. Lift the weight. Send the message. Write the words. Because nothing changes until you do something. You don't beat the enemy by outthinking it. You beat it by outlasting it, outworking it, outbleeding it. The enemy doesn't care about your dreams. It only respects persistence. You want life to bend? Then hit it until it cracks. And if it doesn't crack, hit it again, and again, and again. Not out of rage, but out of resolve. Because if your vision is real, then there's no version of this life where you sit back and hope it works out. Hope is not a strategy. Waiting is not a solution. And fear is not your ruler. You've got two choices when hell shows up at your door. Break down or break through. Most people break down. They crumble. They fold. They convince themselves it's not worth it. That maybe the dream was too big. That maybe they weren't meant to make it. But not you. Not anymore. This isn't the chapter where you surrender. This is the part where you show your scars and swing anyway. Even when it hurts. Even when you're tired. Even when no one's watching. You don't get stronger by sitting. You get stronger by standing in the middle of the fire and saying, I'm still here. You become unstoppable not by avoiding pain, but by carrying it like armor. Pain doesn't mean stop. It means grow. Fear doesn't mean retreat. It means advance with your eyes open. You've got something inside you more powerful than anything that's tried to destroy you. Your will. And will doesn't whisper. It roars. It punches back. It stands up when everything else falls. And it doesn't care how long it takes. It doesn't care how dark it gets. It doesn't care how many times you've failed. Will doesn't flinch. It fights. So what are you waiting for? A sign? This is it. You don't need someone to choose you. You choose you. You don't need permission. You need pressure. You don't need certainty. You need courage. And courage means you move even when your voice shakes, even when your hands tremble, even when your legs feel like stone. The world doesn't give freedom. It gives resistance. And only those who keep moving earn the right to call themselves free. You want peace? Fight for it. You want meaning? Build it. You want a life that matters? Bleed for it. This is not about waiting for the right moment. This is about making any moment the right one. Because when you finally step, truly step, into who you are meant to become, the universe doesn't resist. It rearranges. It clears the way, not because it owes you, but because you refuse to stay small. And yes, you will be afraid. But courage was never the absence of fear. It's action in the presence of it. You will fall. But every fall is forward if you get back up. You will feel alone. But solitude builds the savage, the disciplined, the self-defined. Let me ask you this. What if today was the turning point? What if all it took was one relentless decision? One act of defiance against the voice that says don't? What if the next breath you take, the next step, the next second, is the start of everything? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be strong. You just have to move. You just have to fight. You just have to refuse to stay where life dropped you. So get up. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Get up for the child in you who once dreamed without limits. Get up for the future you who's waiting to live free. Get up for every day you wanted to quit, but didn't. And when they ask you, how did you do it? How did you make it out? You'll smile and say, I moved. I didn't wait. I fought. I kept going. I chose to live. Because in the end, this life doesn't belong to the dreamers. It belongs to the doers. The ones who don't wait for better days. They build them, brick by brick, punch by punch, step by step. And now it's your turn. You've cried, you've remembered, you've moved. But now comes the part that separates those who rise once from those who never fall again. Discipline. Not motivation, not inspiration, not hype. Discipline. Because motivation fades, emotions shift, fire dies. But discipline is the machine. It's what keeps moving when your heart breaks. It's what gets up at 5 a.m. when your mind screams no. It's what pushes through pain, through boredom, through silence. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. And that's why it wins. The truth is, your feelings are lying to you. They tell you it's too hard. that you deserve a break, that maybe today's not the day. But feelings don't build empires. Emotions don't write legacies. Discipline does. The cold, unshakable, relentless rhythm of doing what must be done, even when every part of you wants to quit. Because anyone can start, but very few finish. Anyone can post a quote, talk big, get pumped. But how many will do the work in the dark, alone, unseen, uncelebrated, day after day after day? That's where the real warriors are made. That's where champions are born. Not in front of the lights, but beneath the pressure, in the silence, in the repetition. Let's get something clear right now. You don't rise by emotion. You rise by execution. Show up. Do the thing. Not once, but always. Especially when it's hard. Especially when it's boring. Especially when it's thankless. You want results? Then forget motivation. Build a system. Build habits. Build routines that don't ask your opinion. They just activate. Like a machine, a force, a daily punch to weakness. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't care for applause. It's silent, ruthless, precise. But it gets things done. And in the end, that's all that matters. You say you're tired? Good. That's proof you're working. You say you don't feel like it? Perfect. That's the exact moment where discipline starts. That's where your separation from average begins. Because anyone can act when it's easy. Real ones act when it's war. The question isn't, can I do it when I feel good? The real question is, can I do it when I feel nothing? When the world is quiet? When your body aches? When your mind says stop? Can you still move? Can you still show up? Because discipline is a contract with your future. Every time you act without emotion, you cast a vote for who you're becoming. Every time you choose the hard road, you reinforce the architecture of your greatness. And no one can take that from you. This isn't about speed. It's about consistency. You don't win by sprinting hard once. You win by grinding every single day when no one claps, when no one watches, when no one believes. Discipline is doing the boring work better than anyone else. It's waking up when no alarm is loud enough. It's writing when the page feels empty. It's training when the weights feel like stone. It's showing up with fire when the world only hands you ice. And here's the truth. Discipline hurts. It burns. It isolates. It costs you comfort, ease, and excuses. But it gives you something more. Respect. Not from others, from yourself. And that's the kind of respect that turns nobodies into legends. If you're waiting to feel ready, you'll wait forever. If you're waiting for motivation, you'll die without ever beginning. But if you decide, right now, that you'll act no matter how you feel, then nothing can stop you. Not failure, not pain, not even fear. Because what can fear do to someone who moves anyway? What can weakness say to someone who keeps showing up? What can doubt do to someone who's already on their feet, already in motion, already too deep in the grind to be shaken? The world bows to the consistent, not the loud, not the emotional, the relentless. And you have that inside you, not as a fantasy, not as some rare spark, but as a muscle. You can build this, one day at a time, one rep at a time, one page, one call, one sacrifice at a time. Discipline is not talent. It's not gifted. It's built in the mud, in the silence, in the early mornings and the late nights. And the best part, it's completely under your control. You don't need anyone's permission to become disciplined, just action. Ruthless, focused action. So stop negotiating with yourself. You're not here to feel good. You're here to win. You're not here to chase moods. You're here to crush excuses. You're not here to wait for inspiration. You are the inspiration if you dare to stay the course. And yeah, people won't understand. They'll say you're obsessed, too rigid, too cold. Let them. Let them mock the routine. Let them sleep while you work. Let them laugh while you grind. One day they'll ask how you did it. And you'll smile and say, discipline, every damn day. This is the part where you stop chasing motivation and become unstoppable. This is the part where you lock in, dial up, and never look back. This is the part where you trade emotions for execution. And when they ask what carried you through hell, you won't say luck. You won't say talent. You'll say, I showed up when I didn't want to. I moved when I felt nothing. I finished when others quit. I built discipline, and it built me. There's a silence no one talks about. The kind that comes when the crowd disappears. The applause fades. The messages stop. The room goes quiet. And you're left, just you, alone with the grind, alone with your doubts, alone with the weight of your future resting square on your back. And here's the truth most don't want to face. This journey will get lonely. Not once, not sometimes, often, consistently. Because the higher you climb, the fewer people can breathe at your altitude. People will leave, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something different. You'll start moving at a pace that makes others uncomfortable. You'll outgrow conversations, habits, even friendships. And it'll hurt. But hear me. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Loneliness is not a sign you're broken. It's a sign you're becoming. It's the sacred silence where real transformation happens. Because when the world goes quiet, the noise inside you speaks louder. And that's when you finally hear your truth. That's when you stop performing for approval. That's when you stop shrinking to fit into rooms you've outgrown. And yeah, it's hard. There will be nights where it's just you and the weight of your thoughts, where you'll look around and wonder, does anyone even see how hard I'm trying? And the answer might be no, but that's not the point. The point is, you see you, and that's enough. This is where warriors are made. Not when everyone's watching, but when no one is. When there's no hand to hold, when there's no voice to tell you, keep going. Just you, grit in your teeth, blood in your mouth, and one command in your soul. Don't stop. You see, being alone isn't your weakness, it's your edge. Because when you learn to carry yourself, no one can drop you. When you learn to fight alone, you become dangerous. When you learn to validate yourself, you become unstoppable. People fear solitude because it strips away the distractions. It forces you to face yourself. No filters, no noise, no excuses. And what you find in that stillness is who you really are. Not the version people like, not the image you crafted, but the core, the fire, the part of you that can't be broken. You don't need an audience to be great. You don't need applause to be disciplined. You don't need approval to be worthy. The climb is supposed to be lonely. That's why it's called the climb. That's why it separates the few from the many. That's why legends walk alone. So next time you feel alone, don't shrink. Stand taller. Look yourself in the mirror and say, this is the part they won't understand. This is where I sharpen. This is where I become something they'll never be. Let them talk. Let them doubt you. Let them walk away. Because when you finally break through, they'll all come back. But by then, you won't need them. Because you built something stronger than support. Self-respect. You'll stop begging people to believe in you. You'll stop explaining your fire. You'll stop shrinking to be digestible. Because you'll realize the only one who needs to believe is you. Do you understand how powerful that is? When you stop waiting for someone to say, you're good enough, and you start saying it to yourself, that's when the game changes. That's when you become the type of person who doesn't just survive the storm. You become the damn storm. And when people ask, how did you keep going when no one was there? You'll say, because I wasn't waiting to be saved. I was too busy becoming my own rescue. Yes, it's lonely, but loneliness sharpens vision. It strengthens bones. It reveals truth. And truth will carry you farther than any crowd ever could. You don't need 100 voices saying you can. You need one voice inside saying, I will. So walk alone, train alone, write alone, heal alone, build alone, grow alone. Because the version of you on the other side of that loneliness, that version is lethal. That version is calm under pressure. That version doesn't chase attention. They command respect. Let them call you distant. Let them say you changed. Let them misunderstand. Because the ones who walk alone today will be the ones the world follows tomorrow. This is it. You've bled. You've crawled. You've been broken and alone. But now you rise. Not as the same person. Not with the same doubts. Not dragging old chains. You rise as something else. Not a survivor, a force. Because when everything was against you, you didn't fold. You didn't retreat. You stared back at the chaos and moved forward anyway. You became dangerous. Not because you attacked, but because you couldn't be shaken. You became the kind of person life can't beat, the kind that keeps getting back up until life learns it can't win. See, this world respects only one thing, results, not intentions, not excuses, not pity. And results come from one battle, you versus you. That's the real war. Not you against the world, not you against the doubters, you against the version of yourself that wants to quit. The version that says, take it easy, rest a little more. Maybe this isn't worth it. You want freedom? Beat that voice. You want greatness? Destroy that version of you every single day. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to show up with one mission. Be better than who you were yesterday by one step, one representative, one action. Because that's how legends are made, in inches, not miles. And every time you choose discomfort over ease, growth over fear, action over doubt, you win. And these small wins, they stack. They build a version of you that nothing can touch. You are not rising for applause. You are not rising for revenge. You are not rising to prove them wrong. You are rising because you deserve to see what happens when you don't quit. That's it. You don't need a deeper reason. You don't need outside permission. You've earned your power by surviving hell. Now it's time to build your heaven. And it won't be easy. The final boss is always yourself. The old patterns, the old pain, the old story. But now you know the truth. You can rewrite it. You can build a new identity through action. You can become the person no one saw coming. Because even you didn't know what you were made of. Until everything tried to stop you. And you kept going. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about ego. This isn't about being better than anyone else. This is about becoming someone you respect, someone you admire, someone you'd follow into battle. So hold your head up. Not because you're pretending to be strong, but because you know what you've been through. You know what you've earned. You know who you are now. They can call you obsessed. They can call you extreme. Let them. They don't know the nights you didn't sleep. They don't know the demons you faced alone. They don't know how many times you whispered, "I'm done," and still kept going. And now you no longer fear the storm. You are the storm. You no longer wait to be chosen. You choose yourself. You no longer survive. You dominate. Because you've become something unshakable, built in silence, forged in pain, driven by discipline, sustained by purpose, fueled by that fire no one else sees, but you. And when they ask, "How did you do it?" Don't say it was easy. Don't say it was luck. Don't say it was talent. Say this: I stopped negotiating with weakness. I stopped making room for doubt. I stopped looking for rescue. I fought, I broke, I rebuilt, and I rose, not once, but every day. I became the one who doesn't quit. That's who you are now. Not just someone who overcame, but someone who became undeniable. So walk like it, talk like it, move like it, because you earned it. And from here, there is no limit. Only forward, only fire, only the next level. Welcome to the rise.